here. Let's watch the alt-right playbook, the South Bank of the Rubicon. This, alongside all of the other Innuendo Studios alt-right playbook videos, is going to be something that you should equip yourself with, I think. Like, knowledge that you should equip yourself with. They're very informative. They're very instructive. And I think it will save you a lot of heartache, headache, and time in general. I personally can't recommend this enough. One of my, I think it is very digestible. It's one of my favorite tools, let's say, and in identifying and understanding the ways in which the far right operates in their argumentation and what their ultimate goals are. It's not homework. It's also super easy to watch. Like,
the Rubicon is a river in Italy. The story goes that at the end of the governorship of Julius Caesar, he was ordered to disband his army and stay north of the Rubicon. When instead Caesar marched his army across the river and towards Rome, it was considered an act of treason and the beginning of the Roman Civil War, at the end of which Caesar would reign victorious. It is said, as he forded the Rubicon, Caesar declared, "The die is cast." In today's vernacular, we refer to a metaphoric Rubicon as the point of no return. Children cross the Rubicon into adulthood. Isolationist governments cross the Rubicon into international politics. Each of us will cast the die several times in our own lives. But we say also that movements, that people, cross the Rubicon when they become irredeemable. When times are bad, we wonder anxiously how far from the Rubicon we are. When does an insurgency become a war? A demonstration?
This is the alt-right playbook, the South Bank of the Rubicon. If one of the mods can, here. This is the video that we're watching. There you go. I'll spam it. And then here, I'll pin it too. Wait, how the fuck do you pin it? I don't even know how to pin it on. How do I pin a post? Oh, there it is. Thanks, Fizz.
Riot. When is the moment an economy in danger becomes one in collapse? We scan the horizon for the riverbank, hoping we didn't cross it some ways back. The thing about points of no return, the reason we worry over them so much, is it's rare to know where they are until they are some ways behind you. The Rubicon is not the Mississippi. It is a muddy little creek history lost track of for centuries. In the United States, we are increasingly comfortable saying that our democracy is under threat, that we are at risk of descending into authoritarianism. Few are ready to say that the threat has arrived. And I'm referring to myself when I say that. I'm not ready to say it's arrived. No one wants to call it prematurely. The right screams that the left, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, some thinly veiled caricature of the Jews, are ready to kick down your door and bash your teeth in. And I talk about why they say this. Their need to exaggerate the threat from the left so that when they aggress against us, it seems like self-defense, so that we are to blame for any violence we suffer. I talk about the danger of this thinking being accepted. I say the way mainstream conservative politicians and media legitimize these arguments is worrying. But I don't say, they are saying this in preparation to kick down your door and bash in your teeth. I want people to listen to me. I don't want to sound irrational. I don't want to sound like them. And I don't want it to be true yet. Say, for the sake of argument, you are, at this moment, standing ankle deep in the water, desperately wondering how many paces you are from the south bank of the Rubicon. There was a time when any number of things would have been the moment. If you could go back to 2015 and ask, is a candidate promising to jail his political opponents, or a president building concentration camps at the border, or a lame duck provoking an insurrection to overturn a vote, the moment where you would unequivocally call him a fascist? And we would have said, no question. But those moments came.
Right-wing rhetoric relies on exaggeration. How will you counter that? I mean, expose it. Expose it for the exaggeration that it is. There's not really much else you can do about it. I think one of the things that I try to do to the best of my ability is to showcase the hysterics of right-wing politics. There's a lot of counterfactuals, for sure. And it's important to address them, absolutely. But it's also, I think a lot of people don't realize the importance of just being normal, appearing normal, and showcasing the abnormality of certain positions. No matter how hard the online spheres of influence and echo chambers that we exist in make you feel as though this kind of attitude is actually totally warranted. Like, you know, being transphobic is like being transphobic to the degree that right wingers are. That expression is totally normal. It's not. It's not. And I think showcasing that someone is being hysterical and hyperfixating on someone to a ridiculous degree that maybe even exposes some kind of pathology is a very, very successful tool. Tim Walz did this very effectively and, of course, was benched for it when he said Republicans are weird. And he also packaged it with the Democratic Party's agenda, or at least his own personal agenda of what he wanted to do. And that was incredibly effective, which is precisely the reason why they fucking took that away.
And they went. And we called them troubling. We called them dangerous. But it still seemed alarmist to call them fascist. Journalists and policy wonks still reacted with surprise if you came anywhere near the word.
How can you say that?
You could still run a campaign on reasoning with the right. Republicans have made great strides by being so blatantly horrible that accurately describing their behavior sounds like hyperbole. It seems we are always approaching the other side of the Rubicon, never arriving. We can turn back. The North is still the nearer bank. And there is a knack to this. Everyone expects it to happen all at once, that one day we will wake up to swastikas and kids in cages and unmarked vans disappearing people off the streets. But those all happened on different days. And the swastikas were a natural extension of the barely coded language of the administration's supporters. The cages were the next step after their family separation policy. And the vans were not...
Speak on it, King. Yep.
Not a surprise after years of police militarization. You don't have to cross the river quickly, just steadily, so that every step makes the last one seem inevitable and the next one obvious. The people who say, this will never happen on our watch, they'll just divert the river south to keep it true. It's losing a little ground on a dozen fronts every day. It's seeing so many lines crossed, you can't even remember where you used to draw them. It's the readiness to give up on things being better and just wanting them to be quiet. I can't tell you if that moment has come. I don't know how to call it any better than you. So instead, I'm going to ask you to do something. I want you to decide, at this moment, what the Rubicon is for you. What is that undeniable instant where if something drastic does not happen immediately, your rights and freedoms are forfeit? And don't show up in my comments saying it already happened years or centuries ago. You're not wrong, but cynicism is acceptance. I'm asking, when would be the time to act? Write it down. Put it on your phone or your dry erase board or a post-it on your bathroom mirror. So when that moment comes, you will remember that this was your Rubicon. Because it won't feel like it anymore. It will feel like the next logical step. And ask yourself, when that moment comes, what is the right thing to do? You don't have to have an answer yet, but think on it, because we haven't been doing it. As a leftist, the futures I envision are full of possibility. I am fond of saying, there are 100 ways forward and only one way back. So many things we could try if we allow ourselves to let go of white supremacy, of capitalism, of patriarchy. Imagining the future is a kind of world building. To be on the left, at least the way I try to do it, is to desire a spreading out, a pluralizing, an abandonment of hierarchy, and a sharing of power between us all. I don't know if that future is likely, but I know it's possible. That's not how things look on the right. For the right, left to its own devices, all roads lead to Rome. There's no telling what.
The entire interview, as long as a good addendum to this, the final paragraphs are doomer, but Chad is also being a liberal being interviewed. Keep that in mind. I think ultimately, in the days to come, it's understandable to, and I say this all the time, it's understandable to feel frustrated and scared, but you just got to keep trucking.